Hey, what is up guys? Arc Warlock has risen from the dead and is ready to compete with other top tier builds out there. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because of two things that changed in Season 19. First of all, Arc Soul got buffed, and it wasn't just a little buff, they almost doubled the damage of the Arc Soul. This makes our little friend pretty much a must in raids because a single Arc Warlock can give an Arc Soul to your entire fire team, adding a substantial amount of free damage. However, Arc Souls getting buffed isn't the only reason why Arc Warlock has become a lot more viable this season. The new seasonal artifact mod synergizes so well with Arc Warlocks that it's almost like Bungie made it specifically for them. For those of you that don't know what Monochromatic Maestro does, it increases your weapon damage when you deal ability damage and vice versa, meaning it also increases your ability damage when you deal weapon damage. The abilities and the weapons have to be of the same element for it to work. The damage increase might not be absolutely broken because it's only 10%, but the good news is that it stacks with everything, so why wouldn't you want to take free damage after all? Now, the reason why I said this new mod synergizes extremely well with Arc Warlocks is because Arc Warlocks are the masters of ability spam, hence they will activate the mod and increase our weapon damage constantly. On the other hand, we are going to be doing damage with our Arc weapons, also activating the mod and increasing the damage of our abilities. Unfortunately, after some testing, I found out that this mod does not work with Arc Soul, which I'm not sure if it's a bug or whether it's intended, but if it's intended, then I'm heavily disappointed in Bungie because it could have been such an epic interaction that Arc Warlock really needed this season. Either way, Arc Souls are still incredibly solid even without the mod working with them. But you know what else is very solid? My new PC line, which I've been working on with Apex Gaming PCs, and it's finally ready for you guys to enjoy. I have personally handpicked the parts as well as given each PC its own name. Don't forget that you can also customize each PC with different parts that might suit your gaming needs better, so make sure to look at all the options available. Finally, you can also finance the PC instead of paying it all at once. I myself know how expensive PCs can get, but trust me, if you get a good one, it will last you for many years. So if you're interested, make sure to check out Apex Gaming PCs using my link in the description down below, and remember that you can also use my code TREY for up to a $250 discount. Back to the build. To make sure that we never run out of abilities to spam, we are going to be using the exotic Fallen Sunstar, which makes all those ionic tracers that you collect give you even more ability energy, as well as give some of your teammates standing close to you. With this exotic, you will be getting all your abilities within seconds. You will even be able to hold 2 or even 3 rifts at the same time. All of that with the addition of the seasonal mod, increasing your overall damage. Finally, to top this build up, we are going to be using Font of Might and High Energy Fire to boost our weapon damage to the next level. Font will provide us with another 25% damage boost to our weapons matching our subclass type. Meanwhile, High Energy Fire will provide us with a 20% damage boost while charged with light. High Energy Fire comes especially useful when fighting bosses, so make sure that you're always charged with light when that's happening. If you add up all the buffs together, we are going to be getting a 65% damage boost at all times as long as there's enemies. This doesn't even include weapon perks that you might have on your weapon like Vorpal, Frenzy or even Golden Tricorn. One of my favorite weapons to use with this build is Trinity Ghoul because it makes ad clearing a piece of cake and because the catalyst triggers from any arc kill, meaning that your Arc Soul will be constantly proccing your catalyst for free. But that's enough explaining, let's get into the aspects, fragments and mods. Stat-wise, you want to be aiming for 100 resilience, as pretty much with every single build in this game, and then followed by recovery and discipline. So ability-wise, you want to be using Chaos Reach because it's actually a pretty decent DPS for like tougher enemies. Now you can also use Storm Trance if you want to add clear, but I'd rather just stick with Chaos Reach. For your melee, you want to be using Ball Lightning because it has that range, so in case the enemy is a bit further, you can just throw it at him. And for your grenades, I would recommend using either Pulse Grenades or Storm Grenades. Both are perfectly viable and both hit like a freaking truck. Aspect wise, we are going to be starting with Electrostatic Mind, and this is going to make us amplified whenever we pick up an Ionic Trace, and it's going to create those Ionic Traces whenever we defeat targets with arc abilities or when they are jolted or blinded. Next up we have Arc Soul, and this is going to create that nice and broken Arc Soul whenever we use our Rift. Keep in mind that when you're amplified, the Arc Soul is gonna supercharge and start shooting faster. Now this is really good because anyone in your fire team can step inside the Rift and they are going to get that Arc Soul too. Fragment wise, we are starting off with Spark of Discharge, and this is going to create Ionic Tracers whenever you get Arc Weapon Final Blows. Now this is not a 100% chance, but it's pretty high. Next up we have Spark of Amplitude, which is going to create Orbs of Power when you get a double kill while being amplified. This is going to allow you to spam Orbs of Power left and right, so trust me, your teammate will have supers 24/7. Then we have Spark of Ions, which creates Ionic Traces whenever we defeat jolted targets. Now, we are going to be jolting the targets with our Spark of Shock, which is going to allow for our grenade to jolt targets. Mod-wise, we are going to be starting with Elemental Charge, and this is going to allow us to become charged with light whenever we pick up an Elemental well. Now, you can either use Elemental Charge, or you can also use Taking Charge. I personally prefer Taking Charge, because you will usually be creating more Orbs of Power than wells. Now, if you are the type of guy that spams his abilities more than uses your weapon, then you should definitely be using Elemental Charge instead. On our gauntlets, we are going to be using High Energy Fire, and this is going to give us that 20% damage boost to our weapons whenever we are charged with light. On our chestplate, we are using Font of Might for that 25% damage boost to weapons matching our subclass type, which is Arc. To activate this, you have to pick up an Arc Elemental Well. Next up, on our leg armor, we are going to be using Elemental Ordnance, and this is going to create an Elemental Well whenever we get a kill with our grenade. Finally, on our bond, we are using Elemental Time Dilation, and this is going to prolong the duration of Font of Might by a couple of seconds. Of course, don't forget to use Monochromatic Maestro, because this is going to give you that nice and easy 10% buff to your abilities and weapons. Weapon wise, you can pretty much use anything you want. Kinetic weapons, I usually just save them for champions. And then my energy weapon is the one that kills everything, so Trinity Goal is an amazing weapon that synergizes perfectly with this build, because getting arc kills procs the catalyst, meaning you always have the electrified arrows. However, other weapons with Volt Shot, like the new Achilles SMGs, or even the Tarnished Metal Scout Rifle, are also excellent for this. The way you play this build is extremely simple. You want to start off by popping your Rift first, that way you get your little buddy, the Arc Soul, up and running. Also remember that every time you re-enter your Rift, you will renew the duration of your Arc Soul. Not like you will need this, because you will be creating an infinite amount of Rifts pretty much, but it's good to know. Ability spam won't be a problem with this build, because you get plenty of wells and Ionic Traces. I personally save my melee and grenade for tougher enemies and take care of the red bars with my weapons, as you will pretty much one-shot them without a problem. And it doesn't get any more complicated than that. As always, I really appreciate you watching the video, and remember to check out Apex Gaming PCs. Have a great rest of your day.